I don't know. Maybe this is too much to talk about, but it seems like the situation with Iran has some complications because at one level, Iran says, and I think we can all agree that the internal politics of Arab nations should be within their own borders. But then again, what about terrorism? That within borders, how do we keep that from happening? And then also, what about the fact that Iran is supporting, basically giving missiles Hezbollah to shoot at Israel, and then at the same time saying we support democracy, we support popular revolts, while suppressing and attacking their own people when they have popular demonstrations. So it's sort of like how can you balance, how are we as Americans supposed to sort of react to these sort of inter-country interactions that are happening and the internal interactions, and when is it the right time for America to go in and say, actually, we need to support these demonstrations and actually fight against the government? I mean, what do we do when a nation like Iran says we should have democracy, but then is hypocritical itself?
You just said something that by itself was totally, I would say, I guess I was so partial, in the best way I can say it. You said like Iran would give a weapon to Hezbollah so they can shoot Israelis. I would say, wait a minute. How many billions of dollars in warfare is U.S. giving Israel? I don't have any indication of what if Iran is giving anything to Israel, to Hezbollah. I don't know. That I don't know. Let's say if they did. Let's say if they gave $1 million worth of weapons, so not so that Hezbollah can shoot Israel, so Hezbollah can defend themselves when Israel comes and attacks Lebanon and kills 1,500 women and children. When Israel attacks Gaza for a straight month and kills women and children and bombs hospitals and schools, and for all these years does not let people build their homes, people living in tents, they're living in rubbish, they're living next to sewer, they don't have drinking water. All of this, we forget about this, and then we put the blame on Iran or whoever. I mean, it could be any other country, not just Iran. How can we ignore the fact as what is U.S. doing to support? Okay, fine, if U.S. wants to support Israel, fine, why not? They should. They're allies, they should. But at the same time, don't have a double standard. So why not other countries support the Palestinians, not just Iran? You saw the flotilla came, a few months ago, and Israelis went into the boat and they shot the people. So to what extent are we going to have double standard? So if we are judging fairly and we really give ourselves enough correct information, then we can probably answer ourselves. Yes.
But terrorism depends on who's looking at it. I mean, if somebody kills your family and you take action against them, that's not necessarily terrorism, that's defense. And people get hatred when their family members are killed. If you kill my family, I probably will hate you for the rest of your life. I'm not going to be okay with it. And so for centuries, they've got these countries that have been killing each other, and they have a hatred that you're just not going to overcome in a very long, short period of time. And we from the outside, I mean, I don't know very few. I did one in the Bay Area, a few Palestinians, but when do you ever hear somebody's sides from Palestine? Never. I mean, it may be some impartial news thing, but you never actually know somebody to hear the impassioned plea from them. And so it's hard for us, it's hard for me to make a balanced decision because I don't have all the information and I can't actually get it all.
God bless you for this. Thank you very much for saying it's very important because we are impartial according to impartiality we may have in our mind. But when we're constantly fed certain information and we don't take the time and effort to learn what is going on the other side, then we become partial to whatever we hear that is the truth. We watch it like an incredible, wonderful movie. We start have certain feeling towards the victims or whatever the movie, in Hollywood they made. But in this country, if there's any media that has any criticism about Israel, they're shut down. If there's any criticism about Islam and Muslims, basically they are rewarded and they're go for it like this. This is not being impartial. This is not complete freedom. This is not complete democracy. So Muslims' word has to be heard. Israelis, Jews have to be heard. The Christians have to be heard. Everyone has to be heard. Everybody has to be given equal right to defend themselves. But not just because they are a certain sect or religion, they're demonized. The other one is basically exalted. So I don't know. We're waiting for the second coming of Jesus, so he can help us.
I knew that Jesus was known as a prophet, and that, but I didn't know. Is that a general belief among?
Yes, all Muslims believe that Jesus was sent by God to children of Israel to take him out of darkness into light, because they had by his time, there was so much darkness there, and he was true prophet of God. We just don't believe that he was God or Son of God, because God tells us in the Quran, numerous verses, that God is only one. It is not three in one. And then we also know that the Council of Nicaea, 325 year after Jesus, the Trinity was coined then, and whoever disagreed were either crucified, they were burned alive. And this basically is a doctrine that was introduced several hundred years after Jesus. And Jesus, I studied and practiced Christianity for 7.5 years, and I love Jesus. I love him. I swear to God. And some of the things that I never forget, he says, if your enemy, if somebody hits you on one side, give him the other side. If somebody pulls you 1 mile, go an extra mile. Love your enemy. How is it that 300 years after him, when the Trinity doctrine was coined, people that disagreed with this, they were burned alive and they were crucified? Was this the teaching of my Jesus? No, it was not. Anyway.
So, I got this pamphlet from the table over there, and it basically implies that AIDS, or HIV, is God, or as it says, nature's whipping people into line to follow her moral code. Now, to be fair, there are Christians in this country that believe the exact same thing. But, for the most part, this is considered an extreme fundamentalist position. Mm-hmm. Can you see how, for someone living with AIDS, perhaps, who's already stigmatized for that disease, would see this as dangerous?
Yes, of course. I have not read this pamphlet for many years. I just took them out of the box, read them here. And so, no, the Muslims do not see somebody who has AIDS, he's like a sinner. In Africa, there's some countries that the whole tribe, they have AIDS. Does that mean, they're sinners? But the act of homosexuality is what is condemned in Islam and in Christianity. I'm not going to be apologetic about it. If the AIDS is transmitted through acts of homosexuality, then that's probably what this pamphlet is referring to, but not someone who has AIDS just by any other means.
It mentions a few: fornication, adultery, use of intravenous injection in an unnatural way. It mentions a few different possible transmissions.
Okay, so adultery and fornication are prohibited not only in Islam, they're prohibited in Christianity. Our view of these kind of view is pretty much almost exactly the same as Christianity. Is no different. This is how we believe. This is how it is.
Do you feel that in the Muslim faith, men being able to have several wives and a few concubines is an attack to the dignity of women as an intelligent, smart woman yourself?
Well, it depends. It depends, that means depends on the man. It depends on the husband. First of all, polygamy. Is polygamy prohibited by God? By no means is prohibited by God. We can see the prophets of the Old Testament. Prophet Abraham had two wives, two concubines. Prophet Jacob, he had 2 wives, 2 concubines. The 12 tribes of Israel, among which we believe prophets came from these 12 prophets, they were sons of concubines and wives, actually. And anything that God has made lawful, we have no right to say it's unlawful. But everything that God has ordained, there's a reason for it. And I can just very quickly tell you the reason why polygamy is allowed, has been allowed from time of creation, is that more men usually die, whether through wars and through whatever they were hunting, the lion ate them, whatever happens. As we speak today, as we maybe not today, as of maybe 5 years ago when I checked, there were 6 women to 1 man in the world in general. So what happens to women that have sexual desire, they want to have children, they want to have family, and there's only 1 husband to 1 wife. In Islam, the man is allowed to take more than 1 wife, up to 4 wives, only if he can be fair to them, only if he can support all of them. So the wives the children take the name of the husband, he's supporting them equally. Versus a woman that, basically goes and gets pregnant, have sexual relationship, have children. The children are raised without a father in different, completely different situation. Maybe drugs are involved, alcohol are involved. So polygamy is allowed under this condition.
My position was, do you feel like this is an attack on the dignity of women?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I myself
that women have to
will have no problem I will not give you all my secrets,
okay.
but no problem. I have been involved in polygamy myself, and I have come to love my co-wives like my own sister. I have loved their children like my own children. It is like a jihad. It's a struggle. It's not as easy. When you love a man, you want him all to yourself.
Yeah.
But when you love God more, you say, okay, I am one of the 3, maybe I am one of the 4. What can I do in order to bring justice, to be fair, not to give him a hard time? What is my position? Did my position get better? Did I have to do it? Did he force me to? No, I did it myself, and I would do it again. I would, in fact, if I'm not married right now. If I marry again, I would rather be in a polygamy situation. I prefer that. Why is it? I'm very busy all the time. I want to be in.
She doesn't want the hassle.
I want somebody all the time needing me to be. So anyhow, everything has a good way to look at it. Well, thank you very much, all of you, for coming. I really appreciate it.